Studio Ghibli will always be a treasure of cinema. Every time I watch any one of their movies, I always get overcome with this feeling of comfort that no other piece of media ever comes close to replicating. Whether it be in their stories inspired by mystical Japanese folklore, or the more traditional fairy tale like stories of wonder, or even the more laid back slice of life dramas, Studio Ghibli just never fail in their transportive ability to immerse me in their worlds. As much as I like talking about depressing stuff, I would now like to talk about my favorite film studio that always gives me a sense of wonder and tranquility that only Miyazaki and Co can instill. I remember when I watched Spirited Away for the first time, and it was unlike any other animated movie I had seen at the time. The story of Chihiro and her journey into the spirit world is something I still remember fondly, as it introduced me to a whole new world of stories full of life and breathing with imagination. Almost all of Studio Ghibli's works are told in this manner that is relatively slow and delicate, approachable and amiable, as the storytelling in these movies stem from a certain Japanese concept known as ma. Hayao Miyazaki once described this concept as a form of emptiness, a pause in time, the space between the edges, where the story takes a moment to breathe. And we can see this sort of serene quality that permeates in all of Studio Ghibli's stories, whether it be in Spirited Away, Kiki's Delivery Service, My Neighbor Totoro, where it romanticizes the mundane and seemingly insignificant moments in our characters' lives. Just simply living in the moment, the frame still and unmoving, accompanied by a dreamlike soundtrack or instead a calming silence. All of it done to further allow us, the audience, to immerse ourselves in the stories of these characters and the space that they live in. Speaking of which, one of the things that brings that said space to life is the meticulous yet seamless world building in these movies. Miyazaki and the other talented animators in Studio Ghibli go to such lengths to craft these worlds, brimming with so many major and minor details, that it truly feels like you've been introduced into a whole other place. Fantasy has always been my favorite genre, and after seeing the mystical worlds of Studio Ghibli, it was no secret why I would love these movies so much. From Yubaba's bathhouse in Spirited Away, or the Cedar Forest in Princess Mononoke, or the Valley of the Wind in Nausicaa, Studio Ghibli has created some of the most immersive worlds that are just a joy to witness. The architecture, the mythos inspired by Japanese mythology and at times European literature, all feel authentic and have actual history behind them. Miyazaki once said that even though anime may depict fictional worlds, the trick is to still make them as real as possible. The job of the animator is to make the world feel so real that it might possibly exist somewhere. And also, it's this type of realism that grounds not only the setting of these movies, but also with its characters. The attention to detail apparent in Studio Ghibli movies also applies to their characters, as seen through the little touches the animators instill them with in order to feel like real people, such as subtle facial expressions, body movements, and unspoken mannerisms, which at first may seem unnecessary as a lot of anime don't showcase that level of detail, but it's in those little touches that factor into these characters feeling so human. especially with how it complements their more nuanced personalities. They can be happy, upbeat, determined, but also at the same time bratty, immature, and even sad and confused, as you would expect from most coming of age stories. Through the magic of animation, Studio Ghibli not only brings to life these fantastical worlds, but also the characters that inhabit them, which is doubly important considering how they serve as our eyes and ears when traversing these unknown lands and strange adventures. Speaking of which, that's what I want to touch on in the last part of this video on why I love Studio Ghibli so much. Whenever I watch a Studio Ghibli movie, it always gives off this impression that just like the characters, we the viewers are also a traveler in some faraway place. In nearly all of their movies, there is this recurring idea of adventure. Seeing all these scenic vistas and lively characters, Studio Ghibli basically gives us the opportunity to take a step back from it all and examine life in all its wonder and amazement. Sure, there will be hardships along the way, and the journey will eventually end, but with the acknowledgement of that fact comes a sort of profound sadness that prompts us to savor every moment of that journey as it eventually becomes a nostalgic memory one day. But it's a memory that we will never forget. Film, in a sense, is similar in that regard, and Studio Ghibli is a reminder of why I love it in the medium in the first place.